Hey guys, Brian here. You can see I'm next to the Test Mule. Did the Test Mule make it to Bakersfield and back? Let's see. As y'all know, in previous videos, we call this car the Test Mule, and that's because we try out existing products and new products from MustangSteve here. We drive it hard and put away wet. Right now, we're actually coming to you from the back of my garage. Not for the car, but for my sake. It's a bit cold outside right now, and it's much easier to work on it in the garage. I have worked on it in the driveway, but it's nicer working on it in the garage. So we recently had our 2024 MustangSteve Bash in Bakersfield, California, and the goal was to drive the Test Mule all the way from Fort Worth, Texas to Bakersfield and back. So as much as I have punished the Test Mule kicked back. I spent a fair amount of time getting the car ready for the trip. I knew I would be driving through the Arizona desert where it's hot and the car is pretty loud. So for more than 2,500 mile round trip, I knew I was going to need some sound insulation. So I put sound deadener and new carpet, and then I discovered there was a hole in the floor pan, so I repaired the floor pan and did a bunch of work like that to get the car ready for the trip. Unfortunately, I had mechanical issues, as you can imagine. Before I went for the trip, I signed up for a brand new AAA premium package, which allowed for one free 200-mile tow and then 3 other services. I got up early Tuesday morning to drive out and catch up with the rest of the caravan out in Las Cruces, Mexico, which was a full day's drive.
Good morning. It's dark 30 here in Fort Worth, Texas. We're about to embark on a more than 3,000 mile road trip to the 21st annual MustangSteve Bash in Bakersfield, California. Will this old Test Mule make it? Who knows? Stay tuned and find out. Everybody loves a cold start, so here you go.
And just about 2.5 hours into the drive, I was in Abilene, Texas, and that's when trouble struck. I was just driving along and the engine started cutting out, lost all power. I was able to coast it all the way off of I-20 to the service road and then to an RV shop, and I was able to get into the parking lot, which worked out wonderful. As far as if you have to break down somewhere. Well, here we are in Abilene, Texas. Didn't even make it 200 miles without a breakdown. Seems like the primaries may be clogged. I was just driving along and started cutting out, and if I give it gas, it starts to go, but it's not running on the secondaries alone, obviously. So I'm gonna have to see if I've got clogged primaries. So far what I've done is test the fuel pump. So I hot wired under the hood with an alligator clip, had the engine turn over, and you can see that the fuel pump's working. There's fuel in the filter. So this just comes down to possibly clogged. I've run it with the filter, so it shouldn't be clogged, but you never know. So here we go. It's getting fuel there. I was able to work on the car, and we were running a couple of different theories. I was texting the caravan group, trying to see what they thought it might be. I had just filled up not long before, and so we thought it might be bad gas. I took an Uber and got some gas additive added there. It didn't work. I pulled the carburetor apart, did find a little bit of sediment in the carburetor, but it wasn't anything that would stop it from running and just kill power. So put it all back together, and the RV place actually let me borrow their charger because my battery pack ran out trying to get it to run. I got it started, and I decided to just go ahead and drive a little bit further around the loop in Abilene just to see if I'd fixed the issue or not, and sure enough, it broke down again fairly quickly. I experienced the kindness of a lot of strangers. There was a guy that came and towed my car. I towed it to a parking lot where I could work on it, a hotel parking lot. And so that was really, for it being a difficult time, that was nice to experience all the people that helped me. So back to my AAA membership, I had a 200-mile free tow with my membership. And guess how far Abilene is from Fort Worth? That's right, 195 miles. I was at the point of no return. At this point, I could have had my car towed back home, flown out to Bakersfield, enjoyed the bash, and would have been a very comfortable time. But I decided that's not how I wanted to get there. I wanted to take the test mule. So I continued working on it, took another Uber, went and got a brand new carburetor, and I already had a new fuel pump just in case, because I had fuel pumps fail in the past. And so in the parking lot of this hotel, I put on the new carburetor, the new fuel pump, new fuel filter, and thankfully there was a Lowe's across the way. I was able to go and get parts.
Still cutting out, so I'm gonna throw a bunch of parts at it: new fuel pump, new carburetor, new fuel filter, and new PCV valve. We'll see this one fixed.
And I was charging my jump pack in the hotel lobby, but it still wasn't enough to get started, so I had to call AAA again to come out and jump start me. And so that was another one of my AAA calls. But it fired up, and at this point it was late in the afternoon, and I was supposed to be in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is driving, almost halfway across Texas to get there. But the car was running, so I took off into the night. Out in West Texas, the speeds are 85 miles an hour. The test mule had no trouble keeping up with 85 plus all night long, and made it with really no issues. One of the cool experiences is when I was in El Paso. I was driving on the freeway, and I saw what looked like another classic Mustang in the fast lane. It was actually going a little slower than me, or was catching up, so I slowed down to catch up to him and look over, and it's a 65 original gold Mustang and a teenager in it wearing a tux, and he was so excited to see the test mule because it's gold as well. And that was after 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night, so it was a crazy kind of experience to see another classic Mustang in El Paso on the freeway in the middle of the night. I drove through the night, through most of the night, and ended up, my fuel gauge was off, and because I was running 85 plus, my gas mileage was down, and so I ended up running out of gas just outside of town of Las Cruces, and had to call an Uber. Went and got my gas can filled, came back, filled it up, got in, and it was 12:30 by the time I got to the hotel in Las Cruces. But that's where the caravan was for the night, so I was able to catch up with everybody, and that was great. So the next morning we head out. Some of the other cars had some issues, so we got a little bit of a late start. Actually, one of the other cars had some issues, and so we got a late start that day, and drove several hours before the test mule had any issues. So it was starting and running, and everything was fine. And then it started doing the same thing where it just lost power, and I'd pull over, mess with it a little bit, and then it would fire back up. So this happened a number of times. We ended up having lunch, and we were basically in the Arizona desert whenever it happened again. On the side of I-10, and you can imagine the trucks and everybody flying by. And so I was thinking it could be vapor lock, all different things. It's super hot in the desert, even though it was October. Anyway, I went to close the hood, and one of the hinges collapsed on the hood, so I couldn't get it down, and I tried different ways to get it down. I finally ended up, the group I was at the back of the group, so when I broke down, they got a little bit further up the road, so I needed to catch up to them to figure out next steps. And so I used zip ties to try to hold the hood down, just because it wouldn't latch. And that worked for a little while, and then all of a sudden the zip tie snapped and the hood flew up. But it didn't damage the hood any worse than it already was. So we ended up taking the hood off, putting it in the back of the F-150 of the group that we were traveling with, Jose and his wife. And then we got on the road again, and it broke down another couple times. One time was pretty bad. We made it to a rest stop, and I was checking for spark, for fuel, just no smoking gun, and that was challenging to try to figure out what was going on. And then it started running again. I had a semi right on the back of me, and I was in the slow lane, but they were right up on me. Well, all of a sudden the car backfires with a puff of black smoke, and you can bet that semi backed off. But when you're in a car that backfires, it's loud, and at that point I was concerned about doing damage to the test mule, because obviously whatever had happened had gotten worse.
Well, it looks like this is the end of the trip for the gold Mustang for the test mule. It started backfiring on the highway after dying. So I'm gonna have it towed to a shop in Tucson, and I'm gonna head on the rest of the bash with some of the other guys. Maybe the shop can get the issue figured out and I'll fly into Tucson and drive it home, and if not, I'll fly into Tucson and tow it home. Anyway, kind of disappointing, but made it pretty far from Fort Worth. Didn't expect things to go perfect, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
And so anyway, called AAA again, had them tow it to the local, I found a local shop that worked on classic cars, had them tow it there. And then I rode in the F-150 for the rest of the day. And then the next day, I actually rode with Ed and his 66 Fastback the rest of the way to the bash to Bakersfield. So I made it to the bash and I rode in a classic Mustang most of the way. And while I was at the bash, the shop was working on the car. They said an electrical issue and replaced the ignition wire. They felt pretty confident they'd solved the issue. And so then I arranged flights to fly back into Tucson after the bash. On Sunday morning after the bash, I was able to get a flight, flew in, took an Uber. The guy met me there Sunday morning. They're not open Sunday, but he met me there anyway.
Well, it's Sunday morning, 10 o'clock here. I flew back to Tucson where my car is. You can see it back there. We're at Classic Industries, just some local repair shop that works on old cars that I found whenever I broke down on my way to Bakersfield. Anyway, they were able to solve the issue. They said it's a loose ignition wire, something pretty simple. I probably could have figured it out if I'd taken the time, but I made it to the bash, and now I'm going to pick up the car and we'll be heading home, and probably will take about 2 days, assuming there's no issues. We'll see how it goes.
And let me in, and I realized that I hadn't solved the hood issue, and I did get a hinge at Mustang MD Junkyard. I got a great deal on a used hinge. So I had a new hinge to put on, but what I didn't realize is it tore out the mounts on the side of the engine bay where the hinge went. So even though I had a new hinge, there wasn't any way I was going to fix the hood.
My hood hinge just broke on the side of the road, Highway 10 in the middle of the summer heat. And we just pulled the hinge off and put it in the back of the truck and drive without a hood the rest of the way.
So at that point I had the option of either towing the car home or leaving the hood behind. Didn't like any of those options, so we ended up taking the hinges off, and then I used tie-down straps to strap the hood down, and that's how I drove from there. And it took a little bit to get those adjusted. I went to a truck stop and bought some tools and another tie-down, keep the hood down, and just drove through the Arizona desert. And it was, I could tell the car still wasn't quite running like it should be. When I would floor it to get on the freeway, it cut out a little bit, and reverse was not working well. I could tell the car was having a rough time, but I made quite a few miles all the way through the Arizona desert, all the way to Las Cruces, made it up to the rest stop that's above the freeway. It's very scenic with the chaparral. And so I kept driving and driving through the night into Texas, out to West Texas. I figured it was probably time to stop soon. Well, I didn't decide that soon enough, and ended up breaking down again outside of Pecos. Called AAA, had to wait a little bit on the side of the freeway. They got me to the hotel. I started doing research and thinking that it could be my coil. I was going to try to drive to a parts store the next day, and I didn't even make it to the parts store, and it died again. So I needed to get back for work. This is literally a week later. And so I had to get back. So I decided, well, I'll get a U-Haul trailer. I'll tow it the rest of the way back. That was a whole fiasco. So I had AAA pick up the car in the morning after it had died again. And I was riding with them. We tried to drive out of the way to pick up a trailer and a truck from U-Haul, but the keys were locked in it and it was running. And then we tried to go somewhere else where the trailer was going to be. Where the trailer was going to be, nobody was there. So finally, we got it towed all the way to Midland to be able to get a truck and trailer, and I got it on the trailer, and then I towed it home. So, Test Mule did make it home, but not under its own power. So, it's actually about 6 months later now since that happened, and I've been working on it. I've replaced the entire wiring system. And I've been working through all the systems. I cleaned out the distributor, replaced the coil, replaced the pickup, and just working through all the systems. And I've been able to get it. It runs and drives now. And I actually had another breakdown at home after I thought I had it fixed. I replaced the coil and thought I had it fixed, but it didn't. So I realized I have a bigger electrical issue. My battery was from 2017 and it worked just fine. So I ended up getting a new red top Ultima battery and a brand new one-wire alternator, and so that's almost all ready to go. And anyway, Test Mule will be back on the road soon. I'm going to start taking longer and longer trips and build up the endurance of the Test Mule so we can make those long trips. And the bash will be local this year. It's going to be in Hurst, Texas. But the following year will probably be some remote location for me. And my goal is to have the Test Mule up and ready to go and reliable by then. So that's my story of trying to get to the bash and the Test Mule. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos from MustangSteve.